You're listening to the Ballroom Network. The following program is intended for all audiences. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Goon Podcast with your hosts, Joe Mandel, the Goon, and John Santucci, the Tooch. We're bringing you the fantasy football knowledge that you need every single week.
Derrick Henry still going. Stays in bounds. He might go. 99 yards for the touchdown. Unbelievable.
Flushed out again all the way back. Turning the corner. Fires downfield. Caught. Touchdown. Only Mahomes turns what might have been a 15-yard sack into a 27-yard touchdown.
Saquon Barkley across midfield, down the sideline, stayed in bounds, and Barkley takes it all the way. 68 yards for his first NFL touchdown. McCaffrey right up the middle, and he is gone for the touchdown. 58 yards. Pass is to Thomas. He's gone. Touchdown Saints.
Okay, it's time for the easiest part of any coach's job, the cut. Now, while I wasn't able to cut everyone I wanted to, I have cut a lot of you. Steven, I like your hustle. That's why it was so hard to cut you. Congratulations, the rest of you made the team. Except you, and you.
God bless fantasy football. There are many things a man can do with his time. And this, better than those things.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Goon Show. I'm your host, Joe Mandel, the Goon, and joining me, filling in yet again, is Tyler Ellis, the Gaines report for it with his fantasy knowledge. Gaines, what's going on?
What's
buddy?
going on, brother Joe? Another great, happy football Sunday. To God the glory, man. And with these inactives and actives, playoff push, I'm happy to be with you, brother.
Yeah, likewise, man. And yeah, like you said, playoffs are starting up next week in the majority of leagues. A lot of games, a lot of teams have their make it or break it week here. I'm there in a few leagues. I know everyone's probably there in a few leagues. And you need every little bit that you can get to kind of sneak on in. All you got to do is get in, Gaines. That's all it takes.
That's it.
And that's what we're here to do. And we're going to walk through some injuries because this injury inactive report's starting to come out, and we have lots of official inactives now for the early games. And while we're doing that, do not forget to send us your questions in the chat. We're going to answer them live on air. So make sure you get them to us right now, and we'll help you out. But Gaines, without further ado, let's go through these inactives. Let's go ahead and start with this Colts at Texans game to lead things off. And the big news, of course, this week, Gaines, is that Will Fuller suspended for the rest of the season and into next for a PED violation. So he's going to be the rest of the year.
That's crazy. And it's crazy because he actually did look better because, I mean, he probably was, I don't know. You know, he had those injuries those past couple of years leading up. And so maybe, I mean, it's probably something that a doctor missed, something that was on that list. I don't think anybody would like intentionally do that, knowing how strict the NFL is, like looking for reasons. The NFL looks for reasons to suspend guys. And so it probably was some type of black substance that was probably on a blacklist that probably just hit. But I do have Brandon Cooks, and I believe that may make him more valuable. Joe, what you think?
I agree. It makes Brandon Cooks more valuable. And if you want to get a jump on waivers, a guy that's going to jump into a wide receiver 2 role, Gaines, on that team is Kiki Kute. And this is a guy that's available in almost all leagues. I added him in a really deep league, and it's like getting a wide receiver 1 in that league. It's a 16-man. Tell you what, this kid's probably going to have a good day today. I imagine he'll be a hot waiver claim, especially in deeper leagues before the playoffs. So it's just something that might even help you out today if you're on a whim and you need some help. But in this game, Gaines, outside of Fuller, I mean, there's not a lot of fantasy relevance on these two teams. There's a lot of defensive players out on both sides of the ball, and then the only other backup running back for Houston is CJ Prosise that's going to miss this. But it's good for fantasy owners that majority of players are going to be in this one.
For sure. And then especially you see how Deshaun Watson been looking the past couple of weeks. I mean, we're talking about plus 30. I want to say plus 40 points for the past couple of weeks. And so it looks like we got somebody really trying to cement himself as a head coach for that team.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. We'll see what happens there with Romeo Crennel. He's doing a nice job with those guys, especially with the situation he was dealt. So gotta love that. And let's go into the next one. This is the one that's important for a lot of us Bears fans. Gains. Some surprise inactives in this Jaguars. I'm talking like a commercial for a car. Jaguars at Vikings coming up. On the Viking side of the ball, earlier this week when Aldo filled in on the show, we were talking how Irv Smith might be a good play at tight end because he was questionable with that groin injury. Well, Irv Smith's out again. He's inactive in this game, so that's another shot in the arm for him. And a big plus up for Kyle Rudolph could definitely help you against a horrible Jaguars secondary Gains. 1,000% correct, especially with when you look at the long list of Jaguars inactives. I mean, and then you also have the return of Adam Thielen. And so that's going to pay dividends off. That's going to give Rudolph even more space. You know what I mean? Rudolph will probably be one-on-one with Adam Thielen coming back as the true number one, but we know his counterpart filled in very great for him in Carolina last week. Yeah, absolutely. And then for any of you running back owners of Dalvin Cook, this is great news for you. His backup, Alexander Madison, he's out. He's going to miss this game. He's inactive. So look for lots of Dalvin Cook in this one. And then you got to be in the excess nation to understand that one, right, Gaines?
You already know, Joe. You already know. My man.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, Gaines, besides that, that's really all you're worrying about on the Vikings side of the ball. But let's go over to the Jaguars side. Backup QB Jake Luton, who's been starting, is out. It's going to be Mike Glennon again firing things up. And you have a healthy Minshew. So that means they're giving Glennon the nod over Minshew, which to me is crazy, but that's beside the point. And that's really it fantasy-wise in this game. Gaines, why don't you take the Raiders at Jets game and talk a little bit about those inactives?
I mean, the big one, Joe, I saw you making moves in the league, but Josh Jacobs being inactive. And so everybody going for my man, wasn't it Booker? My man Booker.
Yeah, Devontae Booker.
And so that was a key still pickup if you needed a running back. But Josh Jacobs leading that charge, that's really, for me, in terms of fantasy relevance, that's the hugest, because Josh Jacobs, we're talking about 15 to 20 points, Joe. And so that's going to be hard to try to switch that out at the last minute. But Booker will get the carries. And going against the Jets, any active player going against the Jets has potential to get 10 plus points. And so, but they're missing a couple DBs and a safety. But so this is I want to say a betting game I stay away from in terms of everything is on the Raiders, but the Raiders defense is so bad, Joe. Do you start the Raiders bad defense versus are the Jets that bad that you can get one of the worst defenses in the NFL and pick them up as a streaming defense?
I mean, you probably could, but I don't have any confidence in their ability to stop the run. So for me, it's a last-ditch effort, and if you're trying to make the playoffs, I'm not taking that kind of gamble.
Facts, Joe. Facts.
That's facts. And you got your boy Swanky saying what's up. He's ready for that halftime post-game fire, man. For those of you who don't know, Tyler
what's up, brother?
Is part of Bear Football, the Bears halftime and post-game show on the Ballroom Network with, of course, John Buffone and Aldo Gandia. If you haven't tuned in, make sure you check it out. Same place here. during every Bears game, halftime and post game. So make sure you check that out. Appreciate that, Swank.
Definitely appreciate you, Swink. And I got to ease into the fire, bro. I got to ease into that fire. I hope I try not to think about the Bears, and I try to think about them in a positive way right now, Swink. But I got you, bro. Me and Joe gonna bring that fire to you right now.
That's why we need this stuff to help us get fired up. All right, now that I got a swig of coffee, no one really of note on the Jets side gains, and it's not like anyone's starting any Jets anyway. Aside from one super sleeper that I picked this week in Brashad Perriman, their stud young wide receiver, that Raiders secondary, as we were just alluding to, is absolutely horrendous. I expect him to score at least once today, and for a fantasy sleeper, that's all you could ask for.
That's all you can ask for, especially if you're trying to throw somebody into that flex spot. Like we talk about, Joe, to getting those points, right? So if you can get 8 points from a last-minute waiver wire pickup, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's like me today. In one league, I have Matt Ryan going against the Saints, and I didn't really like the matchup, so I saw Carr was out there, and I went and picked him up.
Smart. Carr's gonna get you 300 yards passing no matter what.
I feel like that's for sure. And I just realized I unplugged my computer battery. So give me 1 second to plug that back in. But Gaines, why don't you walk us through that Saints and Falcons game? Ironically, is the next one on our list.
I mean, in terms of fantasy relevance, I mean, the Atlanta Falcons are they're actually healthy. And so I know last week we talked about Brian Hill, Joe did and everything, but we have Todd Gurley questionable but active today. So Todd Gurley will be getting the snaps. Am I saying start him? I'm not saying that because that knee has been bothering him for the past couple of weeks. And so he has kind of been a dud. But just don't start the backups. I wouldn't start Hill. I wouldn't start Ito Smith. Those guys lose all types of value.
And Hill was horrible last week. We talked him up.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't get anything going last week without Gurley. So definitely don't start him.
Absolutely. And then for the Saints appear to be in good health, Joe. T.Y. Montgomery. Nobody that you're really missing fantasy relevant. I mean, Marquise Callaway. And so if anything else, this is when it's full Owens borrow with Michael Thomas. And so I'm starting all my starters in this one, Joe. This could especially a divisional matchup, especially the way the Falcons looked last week, Joe. That Falcons defense looked like they fighting for something, Joe. And so
playing for pride, man.
Yeah, and are they gonna? I keep subconsciously thinking that it's Drew Brees playing, but it's not. And so they were playing so physical. I don't know if they're gonna let Taysom Hill do what he wants to do. Them guys is coming to hit, and so I don't know. I got Taysom Hill on the bench. I picked him up so nobody else will pick him up. But proceed with caution.
Yes, proceed with caution is definitely the disclaimer. But I think a lot of people were surprised in this game, Gaines, that Julio Jones is active. A lot of people thinking he was going to miss, but with Julio in the mix, this team could definitely show like they have another life. They've got some fire beneath them, man.
Absolutely 1,000%. And actually, I need Julio. I actually have him I have him. It's not a make or break, but in this one, I think I can fight for the division. I think I can win a division. And when you win a division, you're in the fantasy. And so
that's all it takes. And we're starting to get a couple questions. So before our next game inactive list, we'll go through a couple questions. Our boy Joey Perp in the chat, T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk, Jerry Jeudy, or DJ Chark, start one.
Start one. Interesting.
That's tough.
That's who's on the waiver wire, brother?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Because these are the receivers, Joe. But I'm thinking about these quarterbacks. I'm thinking about who these quarterbacks who's throwing the ball to them and the defenses that they're facing.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I'm pulling up the schedule right now because usually I have it right in front of me.
Because Broncos, they're going against the Chiefs, and so but it's like who's playing quarterback? Who's throwing the ball to Jeudy? Who's throwing the ball to Higgins? And so these are the things that I'm thinking about.
Yeah, that's rough. So
that's tough.
I'm definitely avoiding Jeudy and Higgins. I kind of like Chark here because he looked decent with Glennon, but I also like Ayuk here because he's been getting a little bit more involved.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're still in the chat room, Joey, please let us know who else is available on waivers, because you could get a guy, I don't know, today. I'm trying to think about someone you can pick up. Like we were just talking about, Rashad Perriman. I think I like him better than any four of these guys,
Right.
especially against the Raiders. I know I would never advise starting a Jet, but I think that's kind of one of those things that you're going to roll the dice on and be pleasantly surprised today. There's a lot of help out there. Danny Amendola against the Bears. They've struggled against the slot receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple guys that could help you out. Joey, just let us know. Oh, he said he's got Perriman. Are you starting him?
Yeah, he probably started already.
If you're starting him already, then that's great. If I had to pick out of all those guys, I think I like Chark the best because he looks like he's finally healthy and he's a part of that offense.
And not to give you any more confusion, Joey. Oh, Booker or Gio? I'm going, Booker. I'm going with Booker, Joe.
Booker's got the better matchup. Gruden has shown that he likes to use him, even when Jacobs is in the game. I'm going to go Booker here. So,
Absolutely. And then, if we're talking about, I know we're going to go through these games, Joe, but like we'll get through them. But I was just going to throw out Darnell Mooney real quick. I'm going to throw out Darnell Mooney for some of these.
He's active. He's active. There was some questions, but he is going to play.
Right. And so I know we'll get to the Bears active and Robinson's health, but my man Joe, anybody struggling with some of these flex options, when you got anybody starting wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 is worthy of a start.
No doubt, man. No doubt about it. And we got another question here from an inappropriate screen name. So I'm gonna ask the question, but I'm not gonna say the name of the person. The question is PPR, Gibson or Cooks? I'm assuming you're talking about Antonio Gibson, most likely. I'm just gonna go with Gibson because of volume. McKissick hasn't been the same, and Gibson is on the rise up. So I think I go there. I don't know what we're going to see out of Cooks today. I know you want him to do good gains because you have him, but I think you're looking for more consistency, and I think Gibson's your guy for that, especially going into week 13.
I agree, Joe. I mean, Gibson's been kind of clutch. I mean, you were talking about him earlier in the season, and so the Redskins looking like they want to win the division, Joe. Redskins may win that division. Is that what it looks like?
I don't know if anyone's going to win it. We'll talk a little bit about that Giants game. There's a big inactive for that game, too. We'll talk about momentarily. And then Joey further clarified on his question. I have Thielen, Ayuk, and Higgins in the flex. On my bench is Booker, Gio, Henderson, Chark, and Judy. I don't love Higgins. So I think I would go with Booker over Higgins.
1,000%. 1,000%.
And I'd probably go Chark over Ayuk, but they're really close. I mean, again, it's potato there, but I definitely would bench Higgins for Booker because he's going to have a nice day today, especially against the Jets.
Yep, and it's a running back, and we're just talking about a running back. Less room for error, Joe, and so running backs it's against the Jets. He's starting. This is his chance. Like nobody wants to see their teammate go down, but this is how people get those opportunities to show the coach, like, hey man, I'm more than just a backup.
Yeah, and Joey said he also has Perriman, so I think I would say Thielen, Perriman, Booker.
Yeah, that's a winning matchup. That sounds like some points. That sounds points across the board, Joe. And that's the same Perriman from the Ravens that the Ravens drafted. That he had blazing speed, and I like Perriman. I thought he never developed the way I thought they thought he was going to here in Baltimore. And so against that Raiders defense that has cheese holes in it, definitely worth a shot.
Absolutely, man. And then we got another question here from Bio Neo. Hey guys, big fan, must win this week.
Woo-hoo.
I need my whole team to boom. Yes, sir. Let's do it. Half point PPR. Choose two running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. So Chubb, CEH, MT is probably Michael Thomas, Crowder, Aguilar, Judy, Snell.
That's easy.
Well, you're definitely going Chubb.
The first 2.
CEH is questionable in this game.
Yeah.
He's been sick all week. I have a feeling he's not going to play. And I'm not going to risk waiting on him because I believe he plays later. Let's double check that game. When is that game? It's this afternoon, isn't it? Why am I drawing a blank here? I believe that game is this afternoon. I have the list right in front of me. Yeah, that game is actually that game is this evening. So I'm not going to risk him not playing. He's been under the weather. I like Snell because he's going to be starting in place of James Conner, who's on the COVID list.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as I hate to bench CEH, I just don't want to risk getting a goose egg. So I would say go Chubb and Snell. And then if you have to pick 2 wide receivers, you're definitely going to go Michael Thomas. I like Aguilar against the Jets. I think he's going to have a nice day. And then, of course, on the flex, I'd say probably go Crowder.
Right. I mean, yeah, based off the matchups alone that you see right there in front of you, Joe. Joe made a really good point, and something that I am very stand behind. Especially, this is crunch time more than any other crunch time earlier this season. But I don't play with injuries. If I don't have a clear indication that you're going to play, I'm not starting you. Not if I have healthy options. Because even if somebody does play and they were questionable, you don't know how long they're going to play. What if he re-aggravates something and he only plays 1 quarter and you have 2 points? Everybody else got 15, 20 points and one gets 2 points. That would drive me crazy, Joe. And so I'm always I'm starting. My team needs to be healthy, complete healthy as much as possible. Then I'm working back from there. Yes, so I'm with you on Snow getting active reps. Snow, Chubb is a no-brainer. Michael Thomas, and only person over here that's the question mark. I mean, you have Judy, who you don't know who the quarterback situation going against the Chiefs. That's probably going to feast on him, and CEH. So those are 2 situations where the guys. Health you got the health of the quarterback and you got the health of the player. So those guys scratch. Chubb is a monster. Michael Thomas is a monster. Crowder, Aguilar, Snell, they're gonna get the reps. So even if you lose, it's like you could justify it. I can't. If I'm gonna lose, I gotta be able to justify that I made the right play. I made the right decision as a GM. That's how I'm taking this, Joe. Like I don't want to be an idiot. You don't want to nuke it. You don't want to overthink it. When you overthink it, that's when you get yourself into trouble, and you're like Matt Nagy trying to outsmart everybody.
Dude, I could have said it better myself, and I made a bet I think you're gonna like today, Gaines. Since we're talking about Chubb, on DraftKings they have one of those odds boost bets today.
Mm-hmm.
So that the bet is Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb to combine for over 200 yards rushing.
That's easy
at plus 120. So I bet $50. I bet $50. It pays 110.
That's awesome. I will put 1,000 on it. That's awesome. Dang, that's awesome.
I think they might rush for 200 yards apiece.
They might. That's a good game. I mean, that's a good game. I'm gonna give it to the Titans. That's a good game.
Yeah, that's gonna be one of the games of the week to watch if you guys haven't. Browns Titans. I was talking to my uncle yesterday, and I know I'm getting a little off target here, but the Browns could be a sneaky team when it comes to the playoffs, man, because that defense has been very good. They have Myles Garrett, who's been unreal, and that offense is starting to put it together. And look at our boy Aldo coming in, getting Tyler the background. I neglected to ask Aldo for, so appreciate Aldo in the background, man, kicking ass. Thank you, sir. Aldo Gandia, the barkeeper, the master, the man behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Thanks for keeping this thing rolling along. And Tyler, look how good you look, man. Look at that.
Nah, brother. It's just your reflection, brother. It's just your reflection, man. Happy to be a part of it, brother. And so, brother Neo, I definitely hope that helps. And we got some other questions here. Taysom Hill or Hugh. Hey, yo, Joe, these are your guys. These are your guys, Joe.
I know. And Will's got a question. Taysom Hill or Herbert. I love them both this week, man. And it's really, really hard for me to pick. I lean towards Herbert because he can air it out. He's got a better arm.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I've got Herbert at 4 and Hill at 6 this week. So, it's close. But I guess if I had to blindfold and pick one, I'd go with Herbert. You can start him at tight end in most leagues. That'd be awesome, but not anymore.
And so the cool thing here is this. We'll just play devil's advocate. The Chargers are going against a Patriots defense that's not the Patriots defense. And so the Patriots defense can be had.
I dropped the Patriots defense in every league that I own them.
Me too. And they were like, were they top 5 defense last year?
Last year they were number 1.
The past couple years. And so a lot of things changed with Tom Brady. And so that being said, like we talked about earlier, Will, the Falcons defense, I don't know, man. The last week they looked good. Last week, it wasn't just the lack of what the Raiders weren't doing. The Falcons defense was hitting. Will, they were hitting. And so Herbert may have a better game, but Taysom Hill, is just hard to neglect the fact that he may have a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. And so you just don't know the scheme of it. But that's a divisional matchup. Divisional matchups may be feisty. Your man Herbert may go off against the Patriots. The Chargers could low-key win this game.
Yeah, I mean, that Chargers team, Anthony Lynn's on the hot seat. He needs to get some wins, but he's got back Austin Eckler, who we talked about last week. Definitely a lot to talk about in that game. It should be a good game to watch. I'm excited to watch it. And let's see what else we got in terms of comments here and questions. Man, there's so many questions. I know we got to get through this inactive list. So let's go through. Well, we only got one more early game. Actually, did we get through all the early games? No, we didn't. We got a couple left. So let's get through the early games, and then we'll finish the rest of the questions here. So what was the last one we left off on? I think we did Saints-Falcons for the last one. Bengals-Dolphins. The only person really out of this game, it looks like it's going to be DeAndre Washington and Salvon Ahmed. And a big guy that Aldo and I were talking about on Wednesday, Myles Gaskin is active in this one. He's going to be fully part of this game. Matt Breida's also banged up. I look for Myles Gaskin to have a bell cow role, I'd say probably 16 to 20 touches in this game. And I think he's a must start if you have him on your team.
Absolutely. Absolutely, without question. He will be the workhorse. And the Dolphins trying to make some noise.
They are making noise. Brian Flores doing a great job with his team. He played a little coy on Wednesday's show, Aldo and I played an excerpt from his press conference, and he was trying to play down how the role of Gaskin in this game. But I think everybody knew that he's going to be a bell cow in this game. So he's back, baby, and he's going to help a lot of people win championships. So that's a good thing. He's active. On the other side of the ball, the only thing is if you have the Bengals kicker for whatever reason, if you do, Austin Seibert, he is inactive for this game. So pick up one of the many other kickers in the league this week.
Right.
Let's move on to Browns at Titans games. And we were talking a little bit earlier about this. Jonnu Smith, he was questionable all week at tight end. He's going to be inactive for this game. And that means Anthony Ferkser is going to start in this one at tight end. Gaines, that could be a sneaky tight end pickup to help a lot of players this week.
Definitely a sneaky, a good plug and play. I don't know if it was the injury or the game plan, but I didn't see Juno really like a part of the game plan last week, and so you just don't know but you got with Corey Davis and these other wide receivers that's stepping up. I like the Titans offense, Joe, and I do like what Tannehill's doing. I don't know how much the tight end position will be involved. They've been seeming to be okay without it, the past couple of weeks, and so just like. Proceed with caution, but definitely Juno Smith being out is a big deal. And so if you're looking for a tight end, which is probably the hardest position this year to fill on a dependable source, there you go.
Absolutely. And I just picked him up in my league that I'm in with Adam Rank of the NFL Network. I am plugging him in as we speak. And another important thing to call out, Anthony Ferkser going up against the team that's worst in the league against the tight end. That's the Cleveland Browns, Gaines.
Gaines right there. And guys, as you see, we are making adjustments too. And so we are on the fly with this thing. That's what this time is about. We got 30 minutes before kickoff. And so you got plenty of chances to maneuver until kickoff. And so get your lineup set, get your bets in. My man Neo.
And Neo says it's non-fantasy related, but he loves your rant about the Bears on Bears football, and he wants to hear Bear football's pick on who the next coach would be. Don't forget to tune in to Bear football at halftime of the game and, of course, after the game as well. So appreciate that, Neo.
Definitely. With my with my brother John Buffon, and then my Aldo Gandia. And so, like, hey man, we appreciate you watching, Neo, and then we will talk about some potential new coaches. That's an exciting topic.
It is, and Joey's got Derrick Henry and Zeke. Should I bench Zeke for Booker? Yes.
Yeah.
I cannot trust Zeke in that offense. Aldo and I were talking about that earlier this week. Gaines, you can't trust Zeke right now. That offense is horrendous.
And so I've been waiting to talk about this. So check it out, Joe. Like Zeke was like being super praised like 4 years ago, right? He's the best thing ever. He's going to break all the records. And one of my cousins was a Cowboys fan. I went to the Bears and Cowboys game when we were down there. And I'm just like, of course he's the best. He's around the best offensive line in the league. And so like you want to give somebody $20 million. I'm like, if you were to put Jordan Howard behind that line, remember Jordan Howard was finished number 2 that year, number 3 that year in rushing. That Monday night, I know we're off topic, guys, bear with me. But Jordan Howard like killed it on Monday Night Football against the undefeated Vikings. But Jordan Howard with 2-3 less games was like right under Zeke that year. Zeke had the best line. So like I said, if you give every NFL running back that Cowboys first 3 rounds picked offensive line, anybody could be successful. Anybody could be successful. So what we're seeing from Zeke is what other running backs have been going through. So it's like, especially if you feel like some analysts say he lost some burst. He lost some burst a little bit. We talked about him looking like he ate like a lot of burgers or whatever some years ago. And so when you put on that weight and the weight on those knees, feed me, right? I think you might want to not feed you, bro. And so yeah, I wouldn't trust Zeke because you're starting to see, not respectfully, who he really is when you don't have the good blocking. When you're not touched for 5 yards, you're supposed to be good. But when you have defenses in the backfield, now you have a taste of what Montgomery goes through.
Yes, sir. So yeah, long story short, bench
Henry and Booker.
Can't trust him. And then our Bars in the Tuck, who always joins us every Sunday. Appreciate you as always. Pick one: Alex Smith, Mullins, Colt McCoy, Brandon Allen. Mahomes is my other QB. Well, I think the guy that's in the best scenario here is probably Colt McCoy because, and I know this is a lot of people are going to hate on this, but the Giants, Gaines, they're playing the worst secondary in football in the Seahawks. What does that mean for Colt McCoy? Lots of chuck downs. He's on the Giants. He's got weapons. He's got Wayne Gallman. He's got Sterling Shepard. He's got tons of weapons. I think Colt McCoy is the sneaky play here. Most people would probably go with Alex Smith, but I like McCoy because of the matchup. So I'm going to go with McCoy here.
That's why you the man, Joe. Because Colt McCoy, he's a fighter. I mean, he's a fighter. He's been trying to prove himself since this injury before. I remember one time he filled in for Alex Smith. He filled in for the Redskins against Dallas, beat Dallas in Dallas. And that was off a scramble from Colt McCoy. So he's definitely not your typical backup. He's definitely not afraid to rise to the challenge. Is he sitting Mahomes against Denver? Is that the situation?
No, it sounds like he's got 2 QBs.
Oh, okay.
2 QB league.
The good old days.
Bars in the Tuck. I'm assuming it's a 2 QB league because obviously you're not benching Mahomes. Hopefully,
right. Making sure you're not benching Mahomes.
Yeah, as a secondary QB with a better matchup, I like Colt McCoy for sure.
Absolutely.
And
also,
Bobby,
he said he had to sit one. Where did he, Joe? Did he sit one?
Oh yeah, sorry, I missed that. Montgomery, Gaskin, Gibson, non-PPR.
That's tough.
That is real tough.
That's tough.
Because the Redskins, I'm never gonna get used to that. The Washington football team.
I know, right?
That's gonna take so long to get used to. Is playing the Steelers, so I'm sitting Gibson here.
Yeah,
I don't love it, but Montgomery's been great. The Lions are horrible against the run, and Gaskin's back. Gaskin's a bell cow. So,
and Joe Smart there, because what he's saying there, Bars in the Tuck, is like you're gonna sit the better defense that you're going against. And so that's just like that's how you just take out the mental ping pong from let the equation make the decision for you. Who's the better defense going against? Gibson may go off, he may do these things, but it's just like you can live with it better because you're going to play the better matchups. Montgomery, we saw what he did out the gate last week, 80 yards out the gate. Gaskin, we know he's going to be heavily involved because there's no backups. And so, yeah, there you go. Good to go.
Love it. And our guy Bobby Joe, pick 2 full PPR, Zeke, Mostert, Gaskin. Like we just talked about, we're benching Zeke. Can't trust him. I love Mostert. I love Gaskin. Roll with it with confidence, baby.
There you go. I mean, Gaskin for sure, and Mostert and Zeke. It's crazy that you are you starting Zeke for the name or for the production? Because if you look at the last 3 weeks, I mean, what you see is what you get. When people show you who they are, you got to believe them. And so they are at the mercy of the offensive line. And I think they lost to somebody else. They lost somebody else last week too on the Cowboys. With a cramp left leg. I know we'll get to there eventually, Joe.
And Dallas, of course, going up against the Ravens run defense. So another reason to bench Zeke. Man, they keep flying in. I know we're going to get through these injuries. We'll take one more, and then we'll get through some more of the injuries. Jason wants to know, pick 2 running backs, Dobbins, Snell, DJ, Brandon Cooks. 2 running backs, 1 flex. Got it. Dobbins, Snell, DJ, Brandon Cooks. Who's DJ?
DJ Moore?
Probably DJ Moore, yeah. Well, you only have 2 running backs on that list. So obviously you're going to go Snell and Dobbins if you don't have any other options. And then in the flex, I'll go Brandon Cooks because he's got the most opportunity as the number 1 in Houston now.
Yep.
You aligned with that?
I am. If that's what we think it is right there. I mean, those are your only 2 running backs right there. And I'm definitely going to Brandon Cooks over DJ Moore. Ooh, Mike Williams.
Oh,
that's a good question.
Actually, I'm backing up. His DJ
David Johnson,
who's back off IR today. He's going to be active in that game. So let me pull that question back up again.
Yeah.
David Johnson. I'm taking David Johnson and Snell because I don't like Dobbins, what he's been doing lately.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that for
a
sure.
A lot of DJs. And we'll take one more because it's a quick one. Mike Williams or Brashad Perriman, half-point PPR. Mike Williams is a legit wide receiver 2. Perriman is a 1, but he plays on the Jets. I like Mike Williams quarterback a lot better, and the Patriots have not been very good. So let's go with Mike Williams. And I have a fire alarm or something going off in my house.
Sounds important. Definitely. And so what's the name, Joe? Let's rock and roll, bro. Hope everything's okay over there. And so
Sure.
but while you checking on that, we can definitely rock through some of these inactives. And so I think we're actually at the Chicago-Detroit game, Joe.
Yes, sir. I'm going to let you field this one. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go check it out, buddy. And so the Detroit inactives, guys, we're talking about fantasy relevant. DeAndre Swift, Galladay is out. And then those guys are fantasy relevant for sure. And then when it comes to the Chicago side, Allen Robinson got hurt this week. And so, but he is suited up to play. Joe talked about Darnell Mooney being hurt, but he is active. So Ryan Ridley is out. Vontae Paris, and then so full board. I mean, the Detroit and the Bears game. I'm gonna start. I'm definitely gonna. I heard to say this, guys, but if you're looking for those flex, if you're looking for those fillers, I mean, it's hard. Mr. Trubisky, he's gonna feed Allen Robinson. Mr. Trubisky is definitely gonna try to feed Allen Robinson. And then Darnell Mooney, and so those are people that those 3 that I'm mainly looking at, and of course David Montgomery, and then I'm going to take a flyer on the Bears defense. And so that's definitely something that I'm going to be looking at, guys. And so on the Detroit side, I will be staying away from just because. Other teams are looking healthy in terms of like Seattle and the Giants. I mean, with the Colts, Colt McCoy, we talked about that filler coming in to fill the void. Fantasy relevant. Let's go down to even Keyshawn Williams will be out for San Francisco, Buffalo. And so if anybody has any questions, especially regarding the Buffalo backfield, that's something that I normally stay away from. However, Singletary and Zach Moss pretty much split the load last week, and they were both able to get the needed points. I think they both got like 8 points and above. And so I'm going to check the chat and see if you guys got some more questions. And so we're going to pick to my man Ishan in the chat. Hey, guys, thanks for the help. Pick 2. Crowder versus the Raiders, Snell versus Washington, and Aguilar versus the Jets. And this is my man Ishan. I hope I'm saying your name right, brother, in the chat. Thank you for watching, bro. And so for me, picking 2, I'm going to go Aguilar and Snell. Aguilar versus the Jets just because it's the Jets, and then Snell versus Washington because he's in that starter role. I mean, I'm not going to overthink. Oh, this is actually really good. Because the Raiders defense isn't that good either. But Snell, obviously, running back supersedes wide receiver, in my opinion. And I just believe Aguilar may be a little bit more talented. And so Crowder can definitely get the repetitions, but I feel safe in Aguilar and Snell. And so definitely got your back on that, brother. And then for my man Brady in the chat, Taysom Hill or Lamar Jackson. It's been hard. I'm going, it's tough, buddy. It's been hard to, I mean, when you, with Lamar, I've been kind of like, I don't know if you can trust him. I don't know if you can trust him right now. And so, but then Taysom Hill is going against the Falcons. And so Taysom Hill is healthy. I'm going to always pick, and then Joe, I don't know if you heard me, but we got a great question from my man Brady in chat, Taysom Hill or Lamar Jackson this week. And so I don't really trust Lamar. He has potential to go off, of course. Any potential Super Bowl caliber quarterback has potential to go off. But in terms of I don't know how healthy is Lamar Jackson. Joe, that's my number one question, Joe.
It's a huge question, and I don't know how much you can trust him right now. You got to wait and see. I'm not willing to trust him in a playoff matchup right now. That's for sure. So I took care. I don't know what's going on with that smoke detector. I had to take it off, but apologies for that, guys.
No worries, bro. No worries, bro. And so Joe, I'm definitely, and that if that's the comparison, it's crazy that we would say that. But Taysom Hill, I mean, I think Taysom Hill over Lamar just based off the fact that I don't know how healthy he is. And so if you start Lamar and you end up with 10 points, that may hurt you. And so if Lamar is starting, that's so tough because the Falcons defense, Joe, for some reason is just like in my head, bro. The Falcons defense, I don't know if they're gonna let Taysom Hill get off today, and that's a divisional matchup, and they might feel like they got something to prove, especially for their new interim head coach who got them playing on fire right now. And so Taysom Hill could be the risky high reward. It could be a high reward either way. That's a good match. That's a good question. That's tough.
It is. That's tough. So what did you get through when I was gone? Did you walk through more inactives or where are we at?
Yeah, we definitely wrapped up the inactives, finishing with the Chicago game. Not that many injuries, fantasy relevant throughout the course, and we'll definitely keep checking those. But finished up Chicago, Joe. Finished up Chicago and Detroit, and it talked about Mooney and Allen Robinson, and even Mitch Trubisky and David Montgomery bring some potential streaming flex options, and then also the Bears defense.
Love it, man. Yeah, they definitely got a good matchup this week, and they're going to be fired up. So I love that. Let's get to some more questions here. I'm trying to see what the last one we left off with. Can you see the chat on your side? The questions?
On my side, I definitely saw. I saw the questions on the YouTube directly. That's where we had guys posting that. And then we just finished up with Brady, my man Hassan, and then we got Greg, Flex PPR, David Johnson, Kenyon Drake, James White, Michael Pittman. Greg, do you need one? Do you need one? Or are you just picking one of those guys?
It sounds like he's picking one. If you're
that's
still
tough.
In the chat, Greg, let us know.
I'm going Kenyon Drake on that. I don't. That's tough one, Joe. It's tough. I can make a case for each of these guys. I can legit make a case for each of these guys. And so, yeah, let's go. Go ahead, Joe. Process of elimination.
Geez, man. I guess I'm going to probably take Michael Pittman off the list. The only reason is because he's got a bit of a tough matchup today. The Colts, I'm trying to remember who the hell they're playing. I just had it in my head. They're playing Houston. So obviously their secondary has been bad, but Phillip Rivers hasn't been throwing it great. So now I'm kind of talking myself back into Pittman now. James White's been getting more involved. The Cardinals, Drake's been okay.
Right.
I don't like Drake as much as you do. He's let me down the last couple weeks. So I think I'm going to take Drake off the list. David Johnson coming back from an injury. I'm between Pittman and White, and Pittman actually has the best matchup because Houston's secondary is bad. In a rare occasion gains, I think I'm going to take a wide receiver over a running back in a flex.
Ooh, clutch. I mean, you got to deal with the cards you dealt. You definitely got to deal with the cards you dealt.
So they're very close there. And then
we just got to remember, Joe. I just want to caution because Drake still gets those goal line carries. He was still getting those goal line carries. I think he got a touchdown for 1 yard. That was his first run, one of his first runs last week, and so he still got plus 20 carries last week. And so that's what I just know they're gonna he's shifty in that red zone. And so if you're trying to think about a flex option, I'm just trying to think who's gonna give me some points, who's gonna have the red zone opportunities.
There's no doubt about that, man. Stuff you got to think about. And man, a lot of people saying start David Johnson. I can't give him the endorsement coming back from the injury just yet. You know, I don't know how he's going to be. So I can't take that risk going into the playoffs. But if you want to roll the dice, by all means, go big or go home. Literally.
Yeah, but, because his whole career, I'm not whole career, but the whole time he's been in, he hasn't broke 100 yards. He hasn't broke 100 yards this season, David Johnson, he has 3 touchdowns total this year, Joe. David Johnson has 3 touchdowns total for the whole year, and Kenyon Drake had 2 touchdowns last week. I don't know.
True. I definitely like Drake better than DJ this week. And speaking of DJs, Chris is asking about Deontay Johnson or Amari Cooper this week at the flex. Deontay has been miles and miles better the last couple weeks. Gets to go against the Washington football team, whose secondary is pretty good. But Amari Cooper has Andy Dalton throwing him the ball. He got a little bit better last week, a little bit more active. I still lean towards Deontay because he's just been hotter. He's the hotter player. He's having better games. Earlier in the season, I probably would have never made this call, but right now I'm going with Deontay Johnson.
Joe, I mean, I can make a case for both. I can make a case for both. Pretty much Dallas trying to win a division. I mean, and so I should see these teams pulling out all the stops. And then going against the Redskins, the Washington football team defense is kind of feisty, in my opinion. And I've been in that locker room, and so, but it's the Steelers, but it's the Steelers who's probably, you know who I want to see? Quick segment: the Tennessee Titans versus the Steelers, and that's probably the 2 of the best teams in the league, if I'm not correct, in my opinion, just from what I'm seeing. And so, the Steelers just find a way to make it work, even though they kind of underperformed last week, Joe. They underperformed last week greatly, and so Deontay Johnson, I would just say, I'm going Deontay Johnson as well.
I love it, and you got your boy Donald Harris with a question for you, Tyler. He needs one for his flex: Woods, Carson, or Jonathan Taylor.
Woo!
That's a tough one.
Uncle Don, how you doing, brother? How you doing, sir? And so, for the flex, I mean, Woods always gets the targets, right, Joe? I mean, Woods will always get the targets. Jonathan Taylor and Carson, is Taylor healthy?
They're saying he's healthy. You know, he's been on and off, but he does have a great matchup against Houston. Man, this is tough.
That's tough.
So does Chris Carson's also been kind of banged up, not looking fully like himself. Seattle, of course, they're not quite the team that they were at the start of the year. They seem to be losing a little bit of steam. But they're playing good ball, but they're just not where I like them to be.
Right. So yeah, what you think, Joe? What you think?
Oh, geez.
It's tough.
I lean towards Robert Woods just because he's been a lot better as of late. Jared Goff looks his way often, and they're playing against the Cardinals secondary that has not been very good.
The
And the Seahawks get the New York Giants, who are pretty good against the run. Don't love Carson there. And like I said, Jonathan Taylor, I don't know how to feel about him going up against Houston.
Yep. Because he was tough. He was tough to play even a couple of weeks before, Joe. I mean, before Jonathan Taylor got hurt, he was kind of declining. He wasn't really making those splash plays. And we seen Hines come in last week, a couple weeks, and make some great catches and turn them for some yak. And so it's hard to. Is Taylor going to get the full load? Because Woods will be available. And so with Woods and Kyler Murray, it's hard. It's like who's throwing Woods the ball? You see what I'm saying? And so it's going to be Jared Goff going against Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's going to try to put up points as much as possible. So what happens if that Rams and Cardinal game could turn into a shootout? You just never know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go. And I'm eating my own words. I said I would pick a running back over a wide receiver. but for this one, Joe, I'm going to go with Woods.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And we got a couple questions from Sufi Guy that we skipped over because I had to run take care of a fire alarm going off in my house. But we're back. We're not skipping you. Handcuffs for my playoffs. Pollard and Lazard. Yes, very smart. I love both of those. And then he's asking about flex for this week. Lazard or Gore? Gore going up against the Raiders, who are really bad against the run. Not a lot of help there on the ground. And Lazard, which we talked about a little bit earlier this week, looking good for Green Bay. Rodgers loves him. And they're going up against the Eagles. I have a hard time trusting Frank Gore. I love him. I love the fact that he's still playing. But I can't justify giving him a start right before the playoffs. I think Lazard's going to have a big day against the Eagles. So because of that, I'm going to lean towards Lazard. Gaines, what do you think?
You in this one, brother, I think you're danged if you do, you're danged if you don't. Because it's Aaron Rodgers who can pretty much do anything with the football. Having a great matchup. Lazard coming back from still getting his feet. I only had a couple catches, 6 catches in the last 2 weeks combined, only 20-some yards. But Rodgers does look for him in the red zone. And so that's the key thing. Frank Gore going against a not so good Raiders defense. And so it's like Frank Gore, the starter, is going to get you carries. What is the goal? What are you trying to get accomplished, guy? Are you looking for 10 points? Are you looking for 20 points? You're looking for 15 points. Both of these guys, I feel like, may get you 5 at minimum. Frank Gore will. I mean, if he's a starting running back, you will hope he will at least get you 8 points. And so, that's what you for the flex. What do you want for how many points do you want from your flex position? Anything 8 and above, I think, is cool. Is Lazard going to get you that? Because we know Adams is going to demand a lot of. He's going to eat. Rodgers is going to give him 18 catches if he can. And so is Lazard going to get you 10 points? Is Lazard going to get you 5 catches, 50 yards? That's the question. And I don't know. But it's a great matchup.
I think he will today, but it's a tough question. I think Lazard's the safer play. So that's the way I'm going to lean. We have so many good questions. And if we missed any, I apologize because I had to run around. But we're going to answer the most prominent one here is the next one. And then we'll talk about this afternoon's evening games. Starting 3 spots, A.J. Brown, Michael Thomas, A-Rob, Keenan Allen, or Deontay Johnson. Well, you're going to start Michael Thomas. You're going to start Keenan Allen. So that's 1-2, no doubter.
A.J. Brown is looking like one of the top 5, top 10 wide receivers in the league, Joe.
Yeah, I'm between AJ and Deontay Johnson for the other spot. I don't think I can trust A-Rob with the injury. Deontay going against the Redskins. A.J. Brown going up against the Browns. No pun intended. Man, that's close. They're really close for me. I give the slight edge to Deontay because he's been hot, but so has A.J. Brown.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'd go Deontay, but I know you're probably going to go A.J. They're both so good.
Yeah, this is a good problem to have, Zero Destroyer. You probably do. I think you're doing well. What's your record in your league, Zero? I'm pretty curious. This is a good problem. AJ Brown, Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen. That's a great trio right there. That's a great trio. You can't go wrong with that. The Bear fan inside in me, I want Allen Robinson to do well. But one key, not really breaking news, but breaking news about Allen Robinson, he will be wearing his within reach cleats. Okay, and so that is something to inspire to play for. The Allen Robinson Foundation, they partnered up with the Barroom Network and our Badge of Honor and the Barflake Tailgate Show, doing amazing things with that. So Allen Robinson could be playing inspired football today against a not so good Detroit Lions team. I don't know, Joe. Maybe Allen Robinson gets 10 catches, 100 yards. Maybe that's the Bear fan.
That team as a whole is going to be fired up today because
that may be a Bear fan.
I'm sure they got a verbal lashing after last week's performance. And your guy Zero Destroyer telling you he was 6-6, but like you said, 3 of his picks have been out the whole year, which is impressive that you're still hovering at 500.
Right.
So I love that, Zero. Congratulations on pulling that together.
Zero, hope he answered your question, man. But that's also A-Rob is healthy. They said he's healthy. A-Rob is playing. A-Rob is playing, but he did get hurt. We're just expressing some caution. Like we said, if we're giving picks, I don't want to tell you somebody who's hurt, who may leave the game early. I want A-Rob to go off. And so, Joe, if you can put his question back up. If A-Rob is completely healthy, then I'm going to go AJ. Then I'm going to go AJ Brown, Michael Thomas, and Allen Robinson. That's where I'm going to go. Keenan Allen is great because the Chargers are always going to go for 300-something yards. And so it's not the player, it's the quarterback, it's the repetition. And so we know Mitch Trubisky can zero in on Allen Robinson. And so for those reps, I would go with A-Rob. If A-Rob's completely healthy, A-Rob, Michael Thomas, AJ Brown. And then so you can't go wrong with that. Even last week's game that wasn't good as well, Allen Robinson can still go off in garbage time. And so you can't go wrong with the first 3 you got right there, Zero. I'm cool with, Joe. But like I said, I can make a case for all of these guys. And so, like,
yeah, you have a great lineup. Like Gaines said, AJ Brown, Michael Thomas, A-Rob's great. I think I might go Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, and A-Rob if A-Rob is healthy. But again, I'm not 100% sure how he's going to play today. But like Gaines said, being fired up, playing for his own cause today, I think that's going to fire him up. Lions not very good. Might be worth taking a shot there on A-Rob. So I like AJ Brown, Michael Thomas, and A-Rob this week just to, just go with that. Because a lot of people don't know he's playing for his charity today. He's got that extra chip on his shoulder. I could definitely see him having a big day. And don't forget, last couple questions before we get out of here. Kickoff 9 minutes away. Man, oh man, Tyler's getting fired up. I'm getting fired up. And we wanted to touch on a little bit about strength of schedule. Some 4 teams with really good schedules during the playoffs. Aldo and I talked about this on the show on Wednesday, but we wanted to bring it up again since a lot of you tuned in live. You got to look at the Chargers as a team with arguably the best schedule during playoffs. So starting next week, Chargers get Falcons, Raiders, Broncos for the fantasy playoffs. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that, Tyler.
Nope. It's all. Hey, Joe, I'm trying to contain myself because I'm getting pregame jitters.
I can see the goosebumps.
And I'm like, I feel like I'm playing. I feel like I'm trying to play. But unstoppable, man. LTD, man, for sure, man. Barroom Network, and then whenever I get a little bit closer and closer to Bear football, and so But Bobby Bonds and the guys, the Barflight Tailgate Show, they get you ready, pumped up too, man. And so
They killed it this morning, man.
oh,
They gave away a signed Allen Robinson football.
come on, man. And so they just all the energy just got me pumped up, man. And we're hoping for the best things here in Chicago. But as fantasy season, playoff time, I mean, especially if we could talk about it. Anybody in those money leagues, this is what it's about. This is what it comes down to. Like those Christmas bonuses is coming from these fantasy leagues, Joe. And so and I gotta just take a moment to shout out Joe Mando as being a super dope commissioner. I mean, he makes it's an easy thing. It sounds easy, and I had some commission experience before in the past, but Joe managing over 2 to 3 leagues he really does it during COVID, and so salute you, sir. I salute you from handling the IR spot to the COVID spots to the 18, 20 different personalities, Joe. And we definitely appreciate you running the barroom league, and of course the Goon League for sure.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I wish my team in the Goon League was any good. I need a miracle to make the playoffs today. My team needs to score like 200 points so I can win a tiebreaker. But I have a great lineup this week. I got Myles Gaskin back, so you never know. It could happen.
It could happen.
So I've got to keep the faith in the fantasy gods. You know what I mean?
You already know, brother.
That's it. And I'm going to touch on a couple more teams with great schedules before we get out of here. We were just talking about the Ravens. I can't trust them this week, but the rest of the way, their schedule is really nice for the playoffs. You get the Browns, Jaguars, and Giants. So I do like that if you have Ravens on your team. The Cardinals, not this week against the Rams, but starting next week, you get Giants, Eagles, 49ers for your playoff run, which is pretty solid. And then I don't know if anyone's got it better than the Packers gains. As much as I hate to say it, starting next week for the playoffs, the Packers get the Lions, the Panthers, and the Titans during the championship week. So if you have some Packers on your team and you're in the playoffs, things are looking pretty good for you.
I do have Aaron Rodgers in the ESPN league, and I do have my man Devontae Adams in the Barroom League.
There you go, man. You're setting yourself up for success. And, we got Zero Destroyer saying I had Michael Thomas, Saquon, and Kittle, but thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Always Zero, man. We appreciate you tuning in, joining us.
Absolutely.
And everyone else that's been in the chat room answering questions. Huge shout out to Tyler Ellis for filling in again for John Santucci, the Tooch. I always appreciate you, my friend, and especially for taking over for 5 minutes, 10 minutes when I was trying to figure out the smoke alarm in my house and just kind of rolling with it, man. I appreciate you.
No doubt, brother, man. You know how we do, man. No man or no brother or sister left behind on the battlefield, bro. I got your back, man.
Always, man. I appreciate it. And, of course, we're shouting out Gaines for filling in. We got to shout out John Santucci, the Tooch, for getting away, getting some time with the family, getting a much-deserved vacation. I know you'll be back with bells on next week, and you're probably going to have a nice tan, I would imagine. Looking good, buddy.
Tooch.
And then, of course, Aldo Gandia, thank you as always. And thank you for jumping in during the show and adding Tyler to the little the graphic. So we do appreciate that. I should have asked you earlier, but it's kind of a last-minute thing getting Gaines back on here again. So do appreciate Gaines, you being so flexible with us. And I'm sure, Tooch appreciates it as much as I do. So thank you, my man.
No, absolutely, bro. Definitely humbled and honored to be invited. You guys been doing great all season long. And so hope all you listeners, if you've been listening to the show all year long, you're probably doing somewhat well. I mean, pending from draft. And so once the team you drafted isn't normally the team that you go to the playoffs with. You draft to start the season, and then it's that waiver wire. And Joe and Tooch, they have given you straight fire insight all season long, giving you away secrets that I don't know if I would have told. And so, it's a privilege, brother. It's an absolute privilege to rock the mic with you guys once again at the freaking Barroom Network, where it's not just about the Bears, we about those games all day. Fantasy football games.
And if you guys haven't had a chance to head over to the Barroom Network swag shop, there's a link on the Fantasy Football Goon Twitter You can find it on Fantasy Football Goon Facebook, or head over to the Ballroom Network Facebook page and get the link to Superior Embroidery, who does our swag shop. And you can buy a Fantasy Football Goon shirt. You can buy a Barfly Tailgate shirt. You can buy Bear Football. You can buy any show, just a Barroom Network shirt, Buffon 55, Grobstein Schuster Zone, you name it. Any show on the network, you can get a T-shirt. Help support us. You can get a Ballroom Network hat like I have on right now. Anything. It keeps helping support us, lets us do what we love to do, and get you the information that you love. So the holidays are right here. If you want to order a Fantasy Goon shirt or any other show, now is the time to do it. It's the season of giving. And I tell you what, man, the holidays are here. And what better way than with a Ballroom Network shirt or any of the shows on the network, man?
Facts. Couldn't say it better myself, fellas.
And we got one last question, and this is the one we're going to end it on, from Ricardo. Do I start Julio, Ayuk, or Fulgham? Well, Julio's active. I don't see any world where you can risk not starting Julio.
Right.
And especially with the quarterbacks throwing the other two guys the ball. You're going to go with Julio here and ride with him with confidence. If he gets hurt, he gets hurt, but he always has a possibility to score 3 touchdowns every Sunday. So you got to go with Julio, the man, Jones.
If you lost this matchup and your friends asked you, well, who was on your bench? And you said, oh, Julio Jones. That's tough to live with. Mm-hmm. That's tough to live with. So Julio is like he always has the matchup. If he's active and healthy, it's just like those are you just non-negotiables, Joe.
That's it. Non-negotiable at all. So you're rolling with Julio, and we're rolling with Sunday football kickoff. Less than a minute away, guys. Woo. We're excited. Go win those fantasy matchups. Make the fantasy playoffs, and we will be back here on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central, talking playoff prep, playoff starts and sits, and of course we'll be back next Sunday talking big old playoff day. We're going to answer all your questions. We're going to get you ready, and I tell you what, we're going to help you win a championship. Again, one more huge thanks to Tyler Ellis, the Gaines Report. Catch him on Bear Football at halftime of the Bears game and after the game to break it all down with John Buffon and Aldo Gandia. Guys, go win your matchups. Go watch some fun football. We're going to catch you guys later. Tune into Bear Football. You're not going to miss it. You're going to love it. Watch some football, baby. Let's kick some butt.